The one and only Iving. Artists. Here in my domain, I do not have much to do. You can only throw so many me balls at humans before you get bored. A me ball is made by rolling up dung, that's poop, until it's the size of a small apple and then letting it dry. I always keep a few on hand. For some reason, my visitors never seem to carry any. In my domain, I have a tire swing, a baseball, a tiny plastic pool filled with dirty water, and even an old TV. I have a stuffed gorilla. Julia, the daughter of the weary man who cleans the mall each night, gave it to me. The gorilla has empty eyes and floppy limbs, but I sleep with it every night. I call it not Tag. Tag was my twin sister's name. Julia is 10 years old. She has hair like black glass and a wide half-moon smile. She and I have a lot in common. We are both great apes. We are both artists. It was Julia who gave me my first crayon, a stubby blue one, slipped through the broken spot in my glass, along with a folded piece of paper. I knew what to do with it. I'd watch Julia drawing. When I dragged the crayon across the paper, it left a trail in its wake, like a slithering blue snake. Julia's drawings are wild with color and movement. She draws things that aren't real, clouds that smile and cars that swim. She draws until her crayons break and her paper rips. Her pictures are like pieces of a dream. Well, I can't draw dreamy pictures. I never remember my dreams. Although I sometimes awaken with my fists clenched and my heart hammering. What did I do here? My drawings seem pale and timid next to Julia's. She draws the ideas in her head. I draw things in my cage. Simple things that fill my days. An apple core, a banana peel, a candy wrapper. I often eat my subjects before I draw them. But even though I draw the same things over and over and over again, I never get bored with my art. When I'm drawing, that's all I think about. I don't think about where I am, about yesterday or tomorrow. I just move my crayons across the paper. Humans don't always seem to recognize what I've drawn. They squint and cock their heads and murmur. I'll draw a banana, perfectly lovely banana, and they'll say, "Oh, it's a yellow airplane," or "It's a duck without wings." Yeah, that's all right. I'm not drawing for them. I'm drawing for me. Max soon realized that people will pay for a picture made by a gorilla, even if they don't know what it is. Now I draw every day. My work sells for $20 a piece, 25 with a frame, at the gift shop near my domain. If I get tired and I need a break, I eat my crayons. Next chapter is called Shapes in Clouds. I think I've always been an artist. Even as a baby, still clinging to my mother, I had an artist's eye. I saw shapes in the clouds and sculptures in the tumbled stones at the bottom of a stream. I grabbed at colors, the crimson flower just out of reach, the ebony bird streaking past. I don't remember much about my early life, but I do remember this. Whenever I got the chance, I would dip my fingers into cool mud and use my mother's back as a painting canvas. She was a patient soul, my mother. Next chapter, Imagination. Someday, I hope I can draw the way Julia draws, imagining the worlds that don't yet exist. I know what most humans think. They think gorillas don't have imaginations. They think we don't remember our pasts or ponder our futures. Come to think of it, I suppose they have a point. Mostly I think about what is, not what could be. I've learned not to get my hopes up. This chapter is called The Loneliest Gorilla in the World. When the Big Top Mall was first built, it smelled of new paint and fresh hay, and humans came to visit from morning till night. They drifted past my domain like logs on a lazy river. Lately, the day might go by without a single visitor. Max says he's worried. He says I'm not cute anymore. He says, Ivan, you lost your magic, old guy. You used to be a hit. Well, it's true that some of my visitors don't linger the way they used to. They stare through the glass and they cluck their tongues, they frown, while I just watch my TV. He looks lonely, they say. Not long ago, a little boy stood before my glass, tears streaming down his smooth red cheeks. He must be the loneliest gorilla in the world, he said, clutching his mother's hand. At times like that, I wish humans could understand me, the way I could understand them. It's not so bad, I wanted to tell the little boy. I mean, with enough time, you can get used to almost anything. This chapter is called TV. My visitors are often surprised when they see the TV that Mac put in my domain. They seem to find it odd, the sight of a gorilla staring at tiny humans in a box. Sometimes I wonder, though, isn't the way they stare at me sitting in my tiny box just as strange? My TV is old. It doesn't always work, and sometimes days will go by before anyone remembers to turn it on for me. I'll watch anything, but I'm particularly fond of cartoons with their bright jungle colors. I especially enjoy it when someone slips on a banana peel. Bob, my dog friend, loves TV almost as much as I do. He prefers to watch professional bowling and cat food commercials. Bob and I have seen many romance movies too. In a romance, there is much hugging and sometimes face licking. I have yet to see a single romance starring a gorilla. We also enjoy Western movies. In a Western, someone always says, "This town ain't big enough for the both of us, Sheriff." And in a Western, you can tell who the good guys are and the bad guys are, and the good guys always win. Bob says Westerns are nothing like real life. Next chapter is called The Nature Show. I have been in my domain for 9,855 days alone. And I think that's 27 years. We saw that at the beginning of the book. 27 years he's been in his domain. For a while, when I was young and foolish, I thought it was the last gorilla on Earth. I tried not to dwell on it. Still, it's hard to stay upbeat when you think that there are no more of you. Then one night after I watched a movie about men in black hats with guns and feeble-minded horses, this other show came on. It was not a cartoon, not a romance, not a Western. I saw a lush forest and I heard birds murmuring. And the grass moved and the trees rustled. And then I saw him. He was a bit threadbare and scrawny, and not as good looking as I am, to be honest, but sure enough, he was a gorilla. And suddenly as he appeared, the gorilla vanished, and in his place was a scruffy white animal called, I learned, a polar bear, and then a chubby water creature called a manatee, and then another animal and another. All night I sat wondering about the gorilla that I'd glimpsed. Where did he live? Would he ever come to visit me? If there was a he somewhere, could there be a she as well? Or was it just the two of us in the whole world trapped in our own separate boxes? Next chapter is called Stella. Stella says she is sure I will see another real live gorilla someday. And I believe her because she is even older than I am and has eyes like black stars and knows more than I will ever know. Stella is a mountain. Next to her, I am a rock, and Bob is a grain of sand. Every night when the stores close and the moon washes the world with milky light, Stella and I talk. We don't have much in common, but we have enough. We are huge and alone, and we both love yogurt raisins. Sometimes Stella tells stories of her childhood, of leafy canopies hidden by mist, and the busy songs of flowing water. Unlike me, she recalls every detail of her past. Stella loves the moon, which is with its untroubled smile. I love the feel of the sun on my belly. She says, "It is quite a belly, my friend." And I say, "Thank you. So is yours." We talk, but not too much. Elephants, like gorillas, do not waste words. Stella used to perform in a large and famous circus, and she still does some of those tricks for our show. During one stunt, Stella stands on her hind legs while Snickers jumps on her head. Little dog. It's hard to stand on your hind legs when you weigh more than 40 men. If you are a circus elephant and you stand on your hind legs while a dog jumps on your head, you get a treat. If you do not, the claw stick comes swinging. Elephant hide, that's their skin, is as thick as bark on an ancient tree, but a claw stick can pierce it like a leaf. Once, Stella saw a trainer hit a bull elephant with a claw stick. A bull is like a silverback, noble and contained, calm like a cobra is calm. When the claw stick caught the bull's flesh, he tossed the trainer in the air with his stick, with his tusk. The man flew, Stella said, like an ugly bird, and she never saw the bull again. And here's a little picture of Stella. Stella's trunk. Stella's trunk is a miracle. She can pick up a single peanut with an elegant precision, tickle a passing mouse, and tap the shoulder of a dozing keeper. Her trunk is remarkable, but still, it can't unlatch the door of her tumble-down domain. Circling Stella's legs are long ago scars from the chains she wore as a youth. Her bracelets, she calls them. When she works at the famous circus, Stella had to balance on a pedestal for her most difficult trick. And one day she fell off and injured her foot. When she went lame and lagged behind the other elephants, the circus sold her to Mac. And Stella's foot never completely healed. She limps when she walks, and sometimes her foot gets infected when she stands in one place for too long. Last winter, Stella's foot swelled to twice its normal size. She had a fever, and she lay on the damp, cold floor of her domain for 5 days. They were very long days. Even now, I'm not sure she's completely better. She never complains, though, so it's hard to know. At the Big Top Mall, no one bothers with iron shackles. A bristly rope tied to a bolt on the floor is all that's required. "They think I'm too old to cause trouble," Stella says. "Old age is a powerful disguise." Next chapter is called A Plan. It's been 2 days since anyone's come to visit. Mac is in a bad mood. He says we are losing money hand over fist. He says he is going to sell the whole lot of us. When Thelma, a blue and yellow macaw, demands, "Kiss me, big boy," for the 3rd time in 10 minutes, Mac throws a soda can at her. Thelma's wings are clipped so that she can't fly, but she can still hop. And she leaps aside just in the nick of time. "Pucker up," she says with a shrill whistle. Max stomps off to his office and slams the door shut. I wonder if my visitors have grown tired of me. Maybe if I learn a trick or two, it will help. Humans do seem to enjoy watching me eat. Luckily, I'm always hungry. I'm a very gifted eater. A silverback must eat 45 pounds of food a day if he wants to stay a silverback. 45 pounds of fruit and leaves and seeds and stems and bark and vines and rotten wood. I also enjoy an occasional insect. I am going to try to eat more. Maybe then we will get more visitors. Tomorrow I will eat 55 pounds of food. That should make Mac happy. Next chapter is called Bob. Here's Bob. He's so cute. I explain my plan to Bob. "Ivan," he says, "trust me on this one. The problem is not your appetite." And he hops over onto my chest and licks my chin, checking for leftovers. Bob is a stray, which means he does not have a permanent address. He is so speedy, so wily, that mall workers long ago just gave up trying to even catch him. Bob can sneak into cracks and crevices like a tracked rat. He lives well off the ends of hot dogs that he pulls from the trash. For dessert, he laps up spilled lemonade and splattered ice cream cones. I've tried to share my food with Bob, but he is a picky eater and he prefers to hunt for himself. Bob is a tiny, wiry, and fast, like a barking squirrel. He is nut-colored and big-eared. His tail moves like weeds in the wind, spiraling and dancing. Bob's tail makes me dizzy and confused. It has meanings within meanings like human words. I am sad, I am happy, beware. Beware, I may be tiny, but my teeth are sharp. Gorillas don't have use for tails. Our feelings are uncomplicated. Our rumps are unadorned. Bob used to have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. Humans tossed them out of a truck on a freeway when they were a few weeks old, and Bob rolled into a ditch. The others did not. His first night on the highway, Bob slept in the icy mud of the ditch. And when he woke, he was so cold that his legs would not bend for an hour. And the next night, Bob slept under some dirty hay near the Big Top Mall garbage bins. And the following night, Bob found the spot in the corner of my domain where the glass is broken. I dreamed that I'd eaten a furry donut, and when I woke in the dark, I discovered a tiny puppy snoring on top of my belly. It had been so long since I'd felt the comfort of another's warmth. I didn't know what to do. Not that I hadn't had visitors. Mac had been in my domain, of course, and many other keepers. I'd seen my share of rats zip past, and the occasional wayward sparrow had fluttered in through a hole in my ceiling. But they never stayed long. I didn't move all night for fear of waking up Bob. Tune in tomorrow to find out more adventures of the one and only Ivan.